melody of my soul, the melody of my mind, the language of my being, the melody of my soul, Hello everyone, you're welcome back to our YouTube channel just now. If you are a new subscriber here, you are welcome. Feel at home. This is EY Trudy and my name is Eya. Okay, and this channel is focused on wellness, and this cuts across your financial wellness, your environmental wellness, your general wellness, and the world around you as well. Okay, so now when you hear the word wellness, what comes to mind? Is it like yoga mats, maybe even green teas or green smoothies, or even luxury spas, or even maybe like wearable fitness measurables that we wear, or the like fitness watch and all of that? So for many, that might be the truth. That's what comes to mind. Okay, but here is like the truth that most people do not realize. Wellness is not like a modern invention. Okay, so wellness dates very back into maybe even thousands of years before now. It's more like an ancient idea. Okay, so and is rooted in thousands of years ago. Okay, so and wellness also is rooted in humanity, and I'll describe it as the human's earliest attempt to understand health and balance, and also what it truly means to live well. Okay, so today, although wellness is now like a multi-trillion dollar global industry just now, okay, but its history, okay, the story behind it stretches far back as the ancient Indians and even the ancient Chinese as well, and even as far back as to the Greek philosophers, okay, and even to the 19th century spiritual kind of movement as well, and even coming through to all the way to what we currently even have, like the modern medicine, and even maybe even governance, maybe even government, and even the global policies that guide even the current modern medicine as well. So in this video, okay, we are going like what I'll describe, we are going like on a journey just now, okay, through like a complete history of wellness, okay, from how we have now kind of done our research and just gathered this information. We want to understand how wellness began and how it even at some point disappeared and then even came back again into the human practice, and why the concept of wellness may be defining the future of human health as well. Okay, so let's begin. If you're old here, you know how we do it. Grab your cup of tea, feel at home, okay? And I'm clapping for you for always being a part of this channel, okay? Thumbs up. We're happy to have you always. And if you're new here, please do not forget to subscribe and stay with us, okay, as we grow this community on the concept of wellness and being well generally. If it is in my country, they will ask you, you well, oh, are you well at all? And if it is the posh way, they will ask you something like, trust you're keeping well. So either ways, the first concept we are going to be looking at is the Indian ancient concept, which is like the science of life. And it simply means that thousands of years ago, Indians, they had like a manuscript. They had a way that they went about treating people when they fall ill. They had like even yoga postures that you need to take. They had even their own herbs as well, okay? And even long before the modern hospitals came into practice, okay, even the pharmaceutical industry. Long before all of that, Indians, okay, the ancient Indians that existed at a time, they developed a concept which is called the Ayurveda. I don't know if I pronounced it very well. Ayurveda, okay? And this simply means it's like a holistic health system, which simply means the science of life, okay? So the word Ayurveda means the science of life. Now, I'll try to even slow down a bit. I just hope I'm not being too fast, okay? So now, the word Ayurveda means the science of life, okay? So it simply means that Ayurveda as a system or as a practice viewed health not just as the absence of any disease, but it is also a state of balance. So, and this balance would have to not just be about your like balance, is like forming a balance between the body, a balance between the mind, a balance between the spirit, and also a balance between the environment. So the science of life is the word Ayurveda, and it simply means not just the absence of disease in the body, but forming a balance between the body, mind, spirit, and the environment. So every individual, according to the Ayurveda, has like a unique constitution, okay, or something they describe as a dosa, okay. So they are now saying like your food, your movement, your sleep, your social interaction, or and even maybe the hygiene routine, okay, of your environment or your hygiene routine should be all tailored specifically to you. So it's the concept that no two humans are the same when it comes to health and wellness, okay? So rather than just maybe even treating illness after it already appears, okay, Ayurveda will focus on preventing disease before it even begins. And this was what was practiced in ancient Indians, okay? So practices like maybe like, I'll say, practices like maybe like yoga, okay, or even maybe like meditation, or even because the yoga will now focus on your physical, okay, the meditation is more of mind, or even maybe like something, there's something called a breath work, like breathe in, breathe out, okay, or breath training, breath work, okay, or even maybe like let's say herbal medicines, okay, are not like trends because they are what the Asian Indians practice. So it's like their own ancient wellness technology. And it is still even being used in the world today. It's still being used worldwide today. Okay. So, and this is something that started far back, thousands of years ago. Now, we've talked about the Asian Indians and what they believe. Let's now talk about the Chinese, okay? The traditional Chinese medicine, okay? Now, of course, you know that before the modern medicine, there was a way our ancestors treated themselves, okay? Yeah. So if you talk about the traditional Chinese medicine, at nearly the same time, okay, ancient China as well, okay, also developed their own traditional Chinese medicine and or maybe what they call the TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, okay. So this cuts across things like acupunctures, okay, and this traditional Chinese medicine was influenced by, I would say, Taoism and Buddhism, okay. The traditional Chinese medicine sees health, okay, as a smooth flow of the Q, okay, or life energy through the body, okay. That's why sometimes, say for example, illness will only occur, okay, when energy is blocked. in the traditional Chinese concept. That's why sometimes you see the way they furnish their house as well, they are focused on energy. They furnish it such that energy would flow. Okay. They want to avoid energy block. Okay. So illness will occur in traditional Chinese medicine when energy is blocked or balance is lost or even harmony with nature is disrupted. Okay, and to kind of even restore this balance, okay, in the traditional Chinese medicine concepts, okay, they would now develop practices like maybe like the acupuncture, okay, and even practices like maybe herbal medicine as well. They had their own herbal medicine as well. Chinese is quite rooted in teas, okay, and they also had this kind of Tai Chi, and spell it is Taichi. I hope I pronounced it well. And they also had the Qigong. So it's Qigang. Okay. So these are some of the practices they had. Okay. And once kind of although at some point once considered alternative to this was practices like maybe even um, practices that are now widely spread, even used in Western healthcare system as well, was the ancient Greek practice. So, while the traditional Chinese medicine existed, the Indian ancient practice, the Ayurveda existed. Okay, there was also like an alternative, which is what was practiced by the ancient Greeks as well, between the 500 BC to around about the 50 BC as well. Okay, so now uh, this will be talking about the Roman bathing. Okay, that's where the spa now comes in, or the I'm not sure, I can't remember the other one, but say for example, in the ancient Greeks practice, okay, a physician who is normally named the Hippocrates, okay, uh, uh, like it's kind of Hippocrates hanged medicine like forever. I don't know what that even means. So, but I'm thinking like instead of blaming disease, okay, on the gods, okay, or even on the fate of a person, okay, the Hippocrat then argued that illness was caused by something that is not of God, okay, that illness could be caused by the diet we take, our lifestyle, okay, by maybe even the way we live, the environment we live, the kind of influence the environment have, maybe like the air we breathe in, okay. So now, what happens is that we've talked about the Indians and the Chinese and the Greeks, okay. So these were all the ancient practices we had before even the concept of wellness. So these were all revolutionary, okay. Say for example, the Hippocrates, they believed that food could be medicine, okay, and this movement was very essential as eventually it will lead to what we now see as prevention, when the highest form of healing is prevention. Okay, so they believe that what you consume would make you ill or make you whole. So, and prevention was the highest form of medicine. Okay, so the Romans, okay, took this idea even a bit further. So they took the idea of the Greeks even a bit further. So now, instead of what they had, like the baths they had, they now went ahead to build what they call the public baths. Okay. And they even did something they call the aqueducts. Okay. And they also did something called the sewer system. Okay. Okay. And all this, of course, the sewer, like number two. Okay, so all this was designed to protect public health. Okay, so now where we go to bathe, where we go to excrete, all this was designed to protect our health. In many ways, I would say that the Romans pioneered the population of kind of level awareness, which went on to kind of recognizing that health wasn't just maybe even about your personal, okay, but also is more about the society, because if we all come together, okay, to form a society whereby everything is clean, we keep our environment neat, then we all have the tendency of being well. Okay, so now the part two will look at the 19th century wellness revival just now. What happened around the 19th century? We've discussed what the ancient times were like. Okay, so now the mind, the body, the spirit, okay, they kind of reunited in the 19th century. Okay, so how do I describe this just now? I'll say if you fast forward to the 19th century, when they had something I would describe as the spiritual kind of revolution, okay? Industrialization was then already kind of transforming the society, okay? Cities are beginning to even get a bit crowded as well, okay? And populations are also rising at this time. And then also chronic illnesses was beginning to also increase, okay? So in response to this, what happened is that new movements then emerged in the 19th century, okay? And this movement was challenging purely kind of the mechanical views of the human body, okay? And what this also means is that I'll say is that this era would give birth to what I describe as the home party. Let me try to break it down a bit, okay? It gave a rise to what we call the home party, or even um, osteopathy, or the chiro practice, or even the natural party or something. So I'm not sure if I'm getting all this, but I think in the 19th century, okay, so many movements came to being about the mechanism of the human body, okay. These systems, they all kind of shared a radical idea. And that idea that they shared was that the body has an innate ability to heal itself. Okay, so for the first time, humans are realizing that the human body had the ability to even heal itself when it becomes healed, which is something that is still currently practiced in modern medicine. Okay, so healing, they argued, was a kind of requires supporting the whole person, not just treating the symptoms. Okay, so when someone was healed, someone was maybe unwell, healing would require supporting the whole person and not just treating the symptoms. And that also was the time of the spiritual and the mental healing movement as well in the 19th century, like I've already mentioned before, about a kind of the spiritual movement. At the same time, spirituality, or the concept of spiritual, was also like a movement that also got took up and got rooted in this concept. So there were new thoughts around spirituality. There was also the Christian kind of science at the time, okay, and there was also what was described as mind cure uh, philosophies, okay, so that your mind, the way what goes on in your mind is all in your head kind of approach, so that your mind can actually cure your body, okay. So they popularize this kind of belief that mental and spiritual states, okay, would normally directly influence your physical health. Okay, and why some ideas even maybe later fell out of favor, because not all the ideas that lived on, okay, but this movement, I would say, permanently changed how people thought about health, okay, and they also went on to lay the groundwork for what the modern wellness is today, and for what the modern self help or self care culture is today. Okay, so this is all happening in the 19th century, and that after this mental spiritual wellness and the concept, we go to the nutrition, the exercise, and then the early wellness institute. Okay, so moving forward into the future as well. So this is where you'll be thinking about gyms and all these maybe dieting plans that is currently ongoing as well. So by the late 18th centuries, okay, and into the 19th century, the early 19th century, the 19th centuries as well. Nutritional sciences, okay, or nutritional science began to emerge, okay. Remember that in the 19th centuries, okay, they believed that what you eat can actually make you unwell or heal you. So that went on to form the concept of nutritional science. Say, for example, plant-based diets started gaining attention, okay? Even exercise as well becomes like part of our daily life. People were encouraged to start taking exercise, okay? And this was when one of the first organizations, like the first organizations that now formed, and they are dedicated on developing the mind, the body, and the spirit together happened as well. So the first organization that ever came together to start forming like an organization focused on the mind, the spirit, the soul, and the body. Okay. So now there is this John Havel Kellogg. He promoted fresh air movement, okay, and even the preventive living as well. And there was this famously saying that people should kind of learn, okay, how to stay well and not just even how to recover from illness. So the organization which was formed then, he was kind of the pioneer, and they were promoting even taking fresh air and learning how to stay well and not just recovering from sickness as well. Okay, so there is this Flexner Report from 1910, okay, which kind of interrupted the concept of wellness. I would say wellness interrupted, okay. Okay, then comes a kind of a turning point. The turning point happened in that 1910 when the Flexner Report, okay, criticized the medical education for lacking scientific rigor. Okay, and the result of that report, which did that criticism, was that a lot of other alternative systems are then pushed out. Okay, so because it criticized the medicine system for lacking the rigor, other alternative measures were then pushed out. So this is where you then start looking at biomedicine as well. Okay, it became very predominant at a time. Okay, even say for example, healthcare also becomes like a disease focused kind of approach. Okay, so instead of uh, maybe preventing the medicine, you focus on the disease, and even that awareness doesn't even kind of disappear, but it also goes like underground. So around this time, because of that report, so the concept of wellness kind of faded away a bit, and we started focusing on treating diseases. Now this brings us to the next section, which is the modern wellness movement. Okay, how then did wellness also come back to what we are currently doing just now? Okay, because at the moment, what I would say is that there is this high level of awareness that is currently ongoing in the world between the 1950s to the 1960s. Okay, so now let's look at it. After the critics of those concepts which our ancestors had, which led us to the 19th century's concept as well, in the mid 20s, okay, in the mid, I'll say in the mid 20th century, there was a physician, okay, he is called Halbert L. Dunn. So he reintroduced this wellness idea again, this powerful idea of wellness. So, but when he did reintroduce it, he called it high level awareness. Okay. So his own argument was that Dunn argued that health is not a static state and that health is dynamic and it is always a process of growth and it is always involving what he described as purpose. Okay. And it will also involve relationships. It will also involve maybe things like your mental health as well. It would also involve things like we called it the physical vitality as well. Okay. So he is saying that health is not a static thing. Okay. Although I'd say that at the first time when he started his own movement, he was kind of overlooked. Okay. His work then maybe went on to inspire like a new generation of persons who then believed in wellness again. So now, what I would then say is that the the wellness, the new generation of persons started a kind of then building the wellness framework starting from the 1970s. Those concepts, the people came together to start building it as a concept. So around the 1970s, Dr. What's his name again? Dr. John Tarivis. Yeah. He opened the world first wellness center. And then there's another person as well who is Don Adrell. He published the influential wellness books as well. Okay. And then there's also Dr. Bill Hetlier, who created like the National Wellness Institute, all at the back of 1970s. Okay. So they all came together and started doing a lot of things around wellness. Okay. So now it's not just an institute. I think it's like a wellness institute. Okay. So university wellness centers now started kind of to spread across the US workplace. Okay. And you will find that workplace wellness became also like a program that was then incorporated into the work culture. Okay. And what happens is that wellness then became measurable. It also became teachable and it also became scalable as well. The concept of wellness. Okay. So this is now when awareness now went like mainstream. Okay. The concept now became globally accepted. So between the 1980s and the 2000, coming into the year 2000, awareness had gone global. It has become like a mainstream kind of concept. The gyms, the spas, the corporate office culture around wellness program, it became teachable, it became scalable, it became measurable as well. Okay. So, say for example, fitness kind of center, spa culture also grew, and even celebrities in the society started embracing the concept of wellness. So, you see celebrities doing meditation. So, what happened is that at this point, government began to kind of start funding research into the contemporary and even the integrative kind of medicine. So when the government started funding this research so that we can understand more about these alternative approaches. So it now became like wellness is no longer like a fringe, but it is now like um, a defining identity and also a unifying identity of the human existence. Okay. So now, fast forward it into this 21st century just now. Okay. What I would say is like the tipping point. This is where we are. A global wellness economy then emerged. Okay. An economy that is very vital. So the popularities of different types of Chinese teas, the popularities of different type of baits, okay, the popularity of different types of, gym, different types of acupuncture, different types of massage. So that became like a global industry on its own. So in the 21st century, everything changes. Okay. What happened is that chronic diseases as well also went high. And even the cost of healthcare also became very expensive as well. Okay. So you find that healthcare costs became expensive and sometimes even unsustainable, even for the government and even for the individual. So the idea of preventing illness or prevention becomes like a desirable thing for humans to then achieve. It became like something that is very necessary, that we need to focus on prevention. Okay. Because what happens is that hospitals, okay, launched like an integrative medicine department, and governments would maybe even use like say for example, government introduce like taxes for something like sugar and soda, because they feel that that is impacting us, because when we eat it is impacting us. Okay. And then even happiness became like a measurable policy goal. Like to be happy becomes something that people want to measure and want to see themselves being happy all the time. Okay. So now, in 2014, the Global Wellness Institute, okay, they released a kind of a groundbreaking data in 2014, okay. And what that data said is that wellness is now a 3.4 trillion industry. Wellness, it is now a $3.4 trillion industry, okay, and later growing into over like even 4.2 trillion industry, expanding faster than the global economy itself. The concept of wellness, okay. And we wanted to also note that the wellness, in fact, touches across food, special kind of food, healthy eating options, whole eating options. That industry is massive. It also cuts across travel, well travel, kindness travel. It also cuts across real estate, where you live, the greenery of where you live, the emission. It also cuts across workplace wellness programs. It also cuts across healthcare. Okay. It even cuts across even urban designs as well, how your home is designed, cross ventilation, and all of that. It's no longer like wellness is no longer like a niche. It has now become like interwoven with our daily existence. Okay. So it is now like a global force as well. So it's no longer a concept practiced by the Indians or the Chinese, what is it called? The Chinese medicine, or even the Greeks concept. It is now a global movement, because even the research funded by the government and over the years practiced from the 19th century have brought us to the idea that wellness is actually a very good holistic approach to actually live life and find balance between the mind, the spirit, the body, and the environment. Okay. And what we eat and the environment we live in can actually use to prevent diseases before the onset, and even the idea that the body heals itself. So the history of wellness tells us something profound. What it does is that health isn't just about medicine. Okay. It is about how we live, how we think, how we eat, how we move, how we connect, and how we find meanings. It's not just about your body alone. So what the ancient civilization knew and what the modern science is rediscovering is that true wellness is also holistic. It's a holistic approach. You cannot keep the body well while the mind is messed up. That's why you see that in recent times, there is a heavy campaign on mental well-being, mental health. It's something not spoken before, but it's well spoken now. So as we move forward in wellness, we may not even change the whole healthcare system. But what would happen is that it may redefine what it means to live a good life. And what that means is that it may question what you already know as a good life or living well. And maybe the future of medicine as well, okay, looks a lot like the wisdom from the past. Because, like I said in one of my previous videos, that we are tending to predictive medicine where AI will be helping humanity to predict the onset or diseases before they set on so we can prevent it. So it's more like going back to what our ancestors already know. So, what simply this means is that the concept of wellness is bigger than just going for spas or just maybe taking a trip or gratitude trips and all of that. It is something that has always been there, that has always been practiced by the ancient times, okay? And it has always also worked because, like I said, you cannot focus on one aspect of a person's life and forget the other. You have to make it a holistic approach. So, I don't know if I took my time to dive into this history as much as I would have loved, okay? I think this would have been more better if it was like a discussion phase, but um we will get to that point at some point, okay? So, but what I want you to know, okay, from this history that we've dived in just now is one, wellness is not today's concept. It dates as far back as thousands of years before now. And there have been people who had now worked so hard to develop these ideas for us, okay? So we talked about the Indians, and we talked about the Chinese, we talked about the Greeks, we talked about the Romans, okay? And we brought it down to the modern medicine. We talked about the researches that also inspired this awareness as well. We now talked about the current policies and the current guidance that we currently have around awareness, and the fact that it is now a known fact. Let me even give you an example. It is a known fact that what you eat impacts your health. When you eat, what you eat also impacts your health. And how you exercise your body impacts your health. And what you also listen to, kind of the things you listen to or process in your mind or allow yourself to see and process impacts your health. So it's a holistic approach, guys. And it's not a concept that came to be today. So now, thank you for staying with us and for watching this video up until now. If you have gotten to this place and you liked the way we were just talking about this wellness concept and the history and how this will be shaping the next kind of the future of medicine, plus the AI that will be supporting that approach as well, then you're welcome to please like this video, give it a thumbs up, share this video with a friend or family, and you are also welcome to come in and subscribe and stay with us as we are promoting this concept of awareness and this idea of awareness and encouraging people to actually journey with us in this journey of awareness just now. Okay, so thank you for watching and thank you for staying with us. We enjoyed speaking to you today. Okay, and I hope you've learned one or two from this as well. And we do hope to see you in our next video just now. Thank you and stay well. I trust you're keeping well. Stay safe. Okay, and always chit chat us in our comment section if there was anything else you want us to talk about around wellness, or if you needed clarity around any aspect of what we spoke about. So also look out for the transcript of this video And I think the transcript will be there. Apart from the transcript, some of those words I was spelling, I'll try to also include them in the transcript. Okay. Thank you so much and have a beautiful, beautiful day.